The Kirkistown circuit in Northern Ireland welcomes the Dawson Wam Formula Ford 1600 Championship for its next round. The first of the two races today is just a few minutes away. We're also welcoming onto the grid this weekend the Formula Sheane cars. These 1.8 litre engine cars will start at the front of the grid. They should be quicker, but that means we get to enjoy two races for the price of one. This should be an entertaining one for sure. Well, Formula Ford racing is rarely dull with the inclusion of the Formula Sheanes this weekend. I think we're in for a pair of fascinating races. It's the Sheanes that line up first, so Richard Carney and Brian Hurty share the front row ahead of Sean Hines and Paul McLaughlin, then Derek Roddy, Raymond McKenna and Joe Courtney at the back. Then it's the Formula Fords, and it is Will Heron that has the pole position ahead of Ivan McCulloch. Championship leader David McCulloch is only third, with Alan Davidson alongside him. Then Alan McBurney and David Nicol, Henry Campbell and Phil Harris, with Jim Campbell and Robert Johnston rounding out the top 10. Chris Paul and Trevor Delaney will line up at the back of the grid. So getting ready then for the race to get underway here, the first of two races this weekend for the Irish Formula Fords and the Formula Sheanes. The orange machine then on pole position is Richard Carney in the winged Formula Sheane car. Off they go, down towards the first corner. It's a good start by the looks of it from the pole position. Also a good start from the man that lined up third place on the grid there in the Sheanes, Sean Hines. And it's going to be Carney that leads them down into Colonial. Well, here comes Hines up the inside line and goes through into the race lead. Nice move made there. Dropping down there into the right-hander was Donald Griffin. He's also going to be a factor in this one, I think. As they turn now back towards Fisherman's Bend, there are the leading Formula Fords, and it looks as though number 27 is out in front, and that will be Ivan McCulloch. So Ivan McCulloch has managed to get himself ahead of pole sitter Will Heron by the looks of it, but already you can see this fascinating mix of the Sheanes and the Formula Fords. They're actually very evenly matched around this circuit. Despite the fact that the Formula Sheanes, as you can see here, they're still got improved tyres, but they do have front and rear aerodynamics, which of course is something that famously is not included on the Formula Ford 1600 car. Side by side then, into the right-hander at hairpin for the first time of asking. Looks as though it's still going to be Hines that leads the way. But look at this, the entire field absolutely together as they streak across the start-finish line, and side by side for the race leader Richard Carney makes a move around the outside into Debtor's Dip. That's a really, really brave place to overtake at the best of times, especially on relatively cold tyres around the outside. And it looks like he's going to go through. He's on the inside line for the right-hander at Colonial. A really nice move made there. Coming through was the 28 car, David McCulloch. Championship leader in the Formula Fords is David McCulloch by some 39 points actually over Alan Davidson coming into this round. So David looking good for the title as we move into the final four races now of the season for the Dawson Wam Northern Ireland Formula Ford 1600 Championship. 6 car there is Alan Davidson, the slightly older than 1989 Mondial that Davidson drives, and he didn't have a great exit there from the chicane, so he's under pressure now and could be about to lose second place within his class, that class for the Formula Fords. So there they go, onto the braking zone, and they're 3 abreast in fact, as the 28 car of David McCulloch trying to get past his championship rival. In doing so, risks leaving the door open for Will Heron, who had the pole position, remember, the red car there on the right-hand side of the road. Will Heron had pole, but has rather drop down the order here slightly. They're all going to arrive at Debtor's Dip together. And it is going to be Heron, I think, drafts past the pair of them. So Will Heron then into second place behind Ivan McCulloch in the Formula Ford. From there, Will Heron before into second position. Will is having a busy weekend, as along with a couple of the other Irish drivers actually, in that he's competing not only in the Irish Formula Ford races, but also in the national Formula Fords. David McCulloch, another driver who is on the front-running pace in both championships this weekend. National Formula Fords making their annual visit these days to Northern Ireland. And the Dawson Wam Irish Formula Fords supporting them well this weekend. Some great racing. At the head of the field though, it's still the Sheanes, and it is still Richard Carney ahead. And, there he is, the number 3 machine. The orange car turns his way through the final corner, through the hairpin, back into the pit straight again. It's turning into already a very, very close contest here. With Paul McLaughlin now, number 35. He is 4th in the Formula Sheane class, but 5th overall, because the car immediately in front of him, the white machine, is the leading Formula Ford car, Ivan McCulloch. The distance there, you can see the leaders starting to set to it, and there could be a change now. They're still in the same order, still argue McCulloch brothers in their Van Diemen's, sandwiching Will Heron's Van Diemen, which is a year older than their cars. His is a 2000 spec car, the other's 2001 Van Diemen's, so pretty equal in performance, you'd imagine. And certainly looking at how close the racing is, that would appear to be the case, and that's Shaun Hines. Shaun Hines is on the grass from second position, and he's done quite a lot of damage to the front of his car, unfortunately. The front wing has been folded right underneath the car, and I fear that he is destined for retirement. He's put a lot of dirt onto the road with him as well, which I'm sure will please the other drivers when they come through next time. And we've had a change for second place in the Formula 4, so it's all going on now. David McCulloch has gone past Will Heron. Sort of saw him teeing that up, and he's now been able to complete the manoeuvre, and is now got a car between himself, crucially one Formula Ford between himself and his big championship rival Alan Davidson. Back out of the hairpin they go. Davidson now trying to make progress as well, as Will Heron fights back alongside David McCulloch. It's all getting very, very frenetic now into the closing stages of the race. Down to Detter's Dip they go, and I don't think Heron was able to complete that. No, still the white machine ahead. So we now have a McCulloch 1-2 in the Irish Formula 4 part of the race, which has happened twice already this year. On one occasion it was David that won, and on the other occasion it was yes, it was Ivor that won the other time. So they have shared the top two spots in the Formula 4s already this year a couple of times, but can they do it again, and in which order will they be? The crucial thing for David McCulloch here is to make sure that he finishes ahead of Alan Davidson, which he is doing. It doesn't really matter how far ahead, because he already has a 39-point advantage. Towards the braking zone we go again on board with Paul McLaughlin, chasing down now the top three Formula 4s, and David McCulloch outbrakes himself, slips out wide at the hairpin, and so for the second lap in succession Will Heron gets a better exit onto the pit straight and wheel to wheel across the start finish line, and this is delaying David McCulloch and playing into the hands of his brother Ivor, who starts to pull away now in front of them, while some nice battling going on a little bit further back here in the Formula Ford element of the race. Alan McBurney, I think, is one of the cars we're watching battling here. And again, side by side, these are some of the cars that I guess would fit into the classic Formula Ford racing scene. These are some of the older cars on the grid. And it is 23, David Nicholl, in fact, has put himself ahead there of Alan McBurney. That was a change for position down at the hairpin, and Henry Campbell, the red number 90 machine, just behind, keeping pace with them well. Fisherman said back towards the chicane, these three very, very close together indeed as they run down into the chicane. Henry Campbell is the best placed of these three in the championship, but actually he and David Nicholl are only a point apart for about 7th place in the championship coming into this weekend, so between themselves they're having a nice private battle there for that position. Davidson there at the inside of McCulloch, that was a nice move, and hard to outbrake a Formula Sheane car as well, because it does have that rear downforce which helps it to slow down better, and the front wing helps it to turn in a bit earlier, so it takes some doing to outbrake a Formula Sheane car in a Formula Ford car. That's exactly what Alan Davidson did. So now the top four Formula Fords are together again, at least position-wise, but there is a bit of separation up between the top two in class and then third and fourth in class. To the final lap then go the race leaders. Meanwhile, the battle going on further down the Formula Ford order is still equally as close, but no change in the position at the moment, so it looks as though it's going to be Nicholl, McBurney and Campbell the order. Still got a bit of racing to do. Chicane, McBurney has a little peek to the inside, but there's just no way through, so another chance to try and get in the slipstream down the back straight, have a go maybe into the braking zone at the hairpin. Certainly towing up behind him, and he goes to the inside line. Disappear from view though as the checkered flag is waved for Richard Carney. Richard Carney there wins the Formula Sheane part of the race and takes the overall race victory. Ivor McCulloch, 3rd place overall, wins in the Formula Fords, and Alan Davidson crucially got himself ahead of Will Heron on the line, so he comes home 3rd in class. So in the Shanes, it's Carney from Hurty from McLaughlin, the top 3. Derek Roddy and Raymond McKenna are rounding out the top 5, although McKenna actually was an on-finisher. Shaun Hines and Joe Courtney joining him in the pit lane. Ivor and David McCulloch 1-2 in the Formula Ford, with Alan Davidson pipping Will Heron to 3rd place by 1/10 of a second. David Nicholl rounds out the top 5. Philip Harris was at the back of the field, but all of the Formula 4 drivers managed to get to the flag in what was a thoroughly entertaining race. Richard, congratulations, race victory in Formula Sheane Race 1. There's no such thing as an easy win in that class though, is there?
No, all cars are extremely evenly matched. It's very hard to get away, and around Kirkistown the toe is such a big thing, so when you lead it's quite hard to keep a lead with the long straights and the toe, but we got there.
You've got to be able to defend into that hairpin, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there was a lot of oil put down from the previous race, so you couldn't take your conventional line, or at least I wasn't going to chance it just in case. But look, we done enough, and luckily enough by that win I managed to win the Northern Ireland Formula Sheane Championship today now as well, so it's really good.
Oh, brilliant. Nice to do it with the win as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, real way to do it. So it takes the pressure off for our second race. I'm leading our main championship as well, so maybe another first place and put one hand on the main trophy as well today.
Good stuff. Well, congratulations on the win, and let's go and get another one.
Thanks a million. Cheers.
So the second Dawson Wam Formula Ford 1600 race with Formula Sheane is about to get underway. It's Ivor and David McCulloch on the front row for the Formula Fords this time around after their 1-2 finish in race 1. Will Heron wasn't far behind in the first race though, and will no doubt be looking for another race victory, whilst the Sheanes put on a fantastic show in that first encounter. More of the same this time, hopefully. Well, a slight change this time to the grid as well. The Sheanes this time start behind the Formula Ford, so it's Ivor and David McCulloch row 1, with Alan Davidson and Will Heron next. Then David Nicol and Alan McBurney with Henry Campbell and Robert Johnston right behind. Jim Campbell and Phil Harris will once again round out the 10 Irish Formula Ford 1600 runners. Richard Carney on pole position in the Sheanes after his race 1 win ahead of Brian Hurty. Then Paul McLaughlin and Derek Roddy. Ray McKenna and Sean Hines looking to bounce back from his disappointing non-finish, with Joe Courtney at the back. Right then, ready to go racing for the second and final time this weekend in the Dawson Wam Irish Formula Ford 1600s. And hand out to the cockpit there for Will Heron. Let's hope he hasn't got a problem. The lights go out, away go the Formula Fords. The Sheanes will have a delayed start. This is to try and reduce the amount of intermingling that we had between the classes. Entertaining as it was in race 1, it did rather play havoc with some of the championship battles. Now the Sheanes are released. Richard Carney appears to have held on to the race lead. At the front of the Formula Fords, it is Ivor McCulloch ahead of David McCulloch, ahead of Alan Davidson. It's the top 3 on the grid. Still the top 3 in the race. In fact, the top 4, I think you can make that, because Will Heron appears to have got off the line okay in 4th position. Through right-hander at Fisherman's they go for the first time, single file. And as is often the case in Formula Ford racing, the start is actually less hectic sometimes than the finish. The drivers well and truly understand that they don't have to win the race on the first lap, but Alan Davidson very nearly threw it all away on the opening lap there with a big grassy moment coming out of the Crossley chicane. He was fully airborne there, and that has allowed Will Heron through. He'll have felt that in his spine as well, I'm sure, as he bounced his way back onto the road. So let's hope that car's not sustained any damage there, but it seems to be okay. It's not continuing in 4th place. Move on the inside there for the 90 car, Henry Campbell, towards the back of the Formula Ford field, as they streak across the line at the end of the opening lap, then through Debtor's Dip, down towards Colonial for the second time. And already the little pockets of activity starting to appear. Not a great start from Henry Campbell, I don't think, because he was sort of further more than that in race number 1, so he's got some work to do now to try and catch back up to the drivers with whom he was racing in the opening encounter. They head towards the far end of the circuit now though, back down towards the John Crossley chicane, and there in amongst it all is the number 16 car, that's Jim Campbell. Jim Campbell in his Mondial, 1986 version of the Mondial there. Works his way now down the back straight once again. The leaders turn into the hairpin, still the same order I think. Yeah, Ivor ahead of David McCulloch, then Heron and Davidson, then side by side for 5th position is it. Up the inside is going car number 12 to try and make ground up. That was Alan McBurney, who's running even better in this race than he was in race number 1, into 5th position now. The Formula Ford streak back through again. Top 4 still pretty close together here. Then Will Heron showing his pace here. As I said, knows this track pretty well anyway, as a regular competitor in the Irish Championship, but having also raced in the National Series this weekend, he'll have done probably more laps of this place than he'd care to remember this weekend. Try and use that now to challenge maybe for a race victory in the Formula Fords. That'd be nice. But a trying weekend for Will in the national side of things as well, so he'll be definitely keen to try and move on from some of his issues earlier on in the weekend to round things off in style. But as I said that, he pulls off with his hand out of the cockpit. Now, we saw him raising a hand on the grid, and I wonder whether or not there is some sort of underlying issue there. Clearly there is, because he's slowing right down, and Will Heron, I think, well, he's not going to pit, I don't think, but he's certainly not running at full speed, so it is an intermittent issue. Something electrical maybe, possibly a misfire or a fuel pickup issue, it could be any one of those things, but Heron off the pace, unfortunately, drops down into 4th position. That's a real shame, because he was promising good things from this race. Now, this is the sort of intermingling that we were hoping to avoid in this race, but the Shanes have caught the back of the Formula Ford pack, and it looks as though it is the Race 1 runner-up, Brian Harty, that's got himself out in front now in the Shanes. And there, the orange machine of Richard Carney, Race 1 winner, down in 2nd place, gets a bit sideways. Sean Hines is up into 3rd place, looking at the green machine. Red car between them is a Formula Ford, so that's 3rd place in class for Sean Hines. But of course, they're now starting to pit their way up the overall order as well. Once they clear some of the older Formula Fords, though, they should then have themselves some clean air, and it's doubtful that they'll be able to catch the overall front runners. They're making pretty short work of some of these cars towards the back of the Formula Ford field. Inside they go. Richard Carney trying to execute a manoeuvre here of David Nicol, which he does. Possibly allows Alan McBurney actually to get a run on his Formula Ford sparring partner. Yet they're going to be almost side by side into Debtor's Dip. Clockton goes through further back. And Sean Hines also trying to scythe his way through. We know he's good on the brakes into Colonial. And once again, he displays that braking prowess and dives to the inside of Alan McBurney and David Nicol at the same time. Slightly less curb taken by these cars than some of the outright front runners, but I guess you'd imagine that really, with these cars being a little bit older, a little more fragile maybe, a little bit more breakable, so they have to treat them with that little bit more respect as a result. So Derek Roddy, I think, just in front of them in his blue Formula Shane, so he's not a factor in their particular battle, but he's not much quicker than them actually, despite having overtaken them a couple of laps ago. He's not raced away from them exactly. So they head down into Debtor's Dip, into the closing stages of this 15-minute race. 15-minute plus 1 lap race anyway. And flashing across the start-finish line, it's really get a sense of the speed these cars take with this camera angle hung over the side of the pit wall. Here is a battle going on with Robert Johnston there, the 33 machine, and he may be racing a bit further down the order, but he's still got playmates, and in particular I think that's Phil Harris behind him. And so Robert Johnston, the number 33 car, 1999 Van Diemen. No, it's Phil Harris actually, isn't it? 103, who locked up and nearly ran into the back of him there, into the Crossley chicane. The 103 car then of Phil Harris not able to get through. That's another 1989 Mondial. So racing a car that is significantly younger, and in fact driving past it on the straight. That was interesting. So maybe an issue of some sort there for Robert Johnston, because as we saw, it wasn't a great exit from Phil Harris from the previous corner. And yet he was still able to drive alongside. It could have just been a missed gear again. That is easy to do with these gearboxes, but he's fighting back now as Johnston to the outside line into the first corner. There is your race leader, by the way, Ivan McCulloch, who's now starting to get away from David McCulloch and Alan Davidson. You can see them just about in the distance, still scrapping away over 2nd place. It is, I think, still David McCulloch in front. They're going through, though, onto what I believe is the final lap of the race. Yes, it is. So 1 more lap to go in this one. And Ivan McCulloch now looking for a fairly secure double race victory this weekend. He did the double here back in June as well on his first appearance in the championship, so it's a pretty good hit rate. This 4 race victories from 6 appearances this year. If he'd have done the full season, he would definitely have been a title contender, but Ivan McCulloch, whenever he does appear in the Dawson Wam Northern Ireland Formula Ford 1600 Championship, tends to be one of the pace setters. That's been the case this weekend. A very closely fought race 1 victory, but this one has been rather handed to him, I think, because of the championship contenders being so busy battling with each other behind him, and they're still battling away. Look, because Alan Davidson has not given up hopes here of getting ahead of David McCulloch for 2nd place. They're side by side down to the hairpin for the final time. And David McCulloch on the inside line is going to try and force Davidson out wide. That looked like he was getting very close indeed. Out to the hairpin though comes Ivan McCulloch, and he is about to see the checkered flag for the 2nd time this weekend and the 4th time this season in the Dawson Wam Northern Ireland Formula Ford 1600 Championship. David McCulloch hangs on to 2nd place and extends his championship margin over 3rd place finisher Alan Davidson. Then it will be the Shanes, and is it still going to be Brian Harty ahead? Yes, it is. but with Sean Hines behind him and no sign of Richard Carney. So what happened to Richard there in the closing stages? Well, it is Ivan McCulloch from David McCulloch and Alan Davidson, your top three, then Alan McBurney and David Nicol, Henry Campbell, Rob Johnston and Phil Harris to round out the top 8 Formula Ford finishers. Brian Harty and Sean Hines the top 2 in the Shanes, ahead of McLaughlin and Carney down to 4th after a late drama. Derek Roddy and Ray McKenna round out the runners. Ivor, another win. You're getting used to this today. You've been a busy boy this weekend, haven't you, racing in the Nationals as well. Has that helped you now in these Dawson Wam races? It clearly seems to have done.
Well, it's given us a bit more time to get the car set up. We don't really do any testing, so we just arrive and drive, you know, so it's given us a bit of a chance to work on the car a bit more, and we get the car really sorted for the last race. So.
Even so, you weren't far away from these two, were you? They've been a thorn in your side all day.
Yeah, they've been a thorn in my side all day, but my gearbox, the last 5 laps there, third gear started to seize up, so I think we have a bit of money to spend now.
Oh, it was worth it. It brought you to a victory in the Irish and the National this weekend. Good weekend all round, I think.
Yeah, good weekend all round.